It is February 19th, 2021, and I am interviewing my beautiful grandmother. And we'll just jump right on into it. What's your name?
Norma Kroll,
When is your birthday?
October 17th, 1942.
Where did you grow up?
All over.
Want to elaborate?
My dad was military. We moved a lot, and I've lived all over.
What was your favorite place to live? And why?
I would say there was two. That was really my. Are you wanting?
When you were growing up, what were your two favorite places to live when you were traveling around with Grandpa
Okay,
in
the
the
last
military?
place that we lived that was really my favorite because I came into my own was Fort Sheridan, Illinois. And
How old were you when you lived at Fort Sheridan?
I turned 14 there.
Oh, you became a woman there, pretty much.
Not
Or
really.
trying to grow up, rather.
No. But it was a beautiful, beautiful post because I lived on military posts most of my life. But I also loved Germany. We lived in Germany for almost 3 years. I loved it.
What years did you live in Germany?
50. We went over in 56, early 56, I guess. And came back in 58,
58.
something, or maybe we went a little earlier.
So you guys got to see it right after World War II.
9 years after World War II, pretty much, yeah.
What was it like living over there after World War II?
Well, I didn't know that much about the war. I mean, I knew my dad was in it and everything, but it was beautiful. But it was wreckage. And the people were, a lot were still living in buildings that we wouldn't consider safe over here, but they were still living in it. But a lot were not. So they were coming back. I loved it.
Did you go to school on base or did you go to a German school?
No, I went to a military school on post. Yeah.
Did you have any friends that were German?
Not really.
Mainly Americans?
Oh, yeah.
What was your favorite thing to do when you lived in Germany?
My favorite thing to do was to go take a bus every Saturday night and go over and roller skate.
And roller skate. Roller skating seems to be fun no matter what age you're at.
There was a great big roller skating rink they had put in for us, but it was at the, how to describe it, it was like now would be a mall. There's a great big post exchange, PX, and dispensary and all kinds of things at what they call Robinson Barracks. And
It's like a one-stop shop on base where you could go get things.
well, it was bigger. We could get anything on Nelligan where I lived, but yeah, to go over there it was like going to the mall.
And that's where the skating rink was?
Yeah. And they took us by bus over there.
You have always liked history, and that's one of the reasons I love history so much, because you've traveled around the world.
Not the world.
Well, not the world, parts of the
Europe,
world.
yeah.
Europe, parts of Europe. Because of that, I'm sure that you have seen, like, what would you call them, like a monuments? Either monuments or, like, historical places.
You mean like the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Colosseum, St. Mark's Square,
Yeah.
the Vatican, just
all
a
those
few
places.
things.
What were some of your favorite like sightseeing experiences living in Europe?
Well, we saw so much. I mean, from Mom and Dad were great at taking us and making us see lots of castles and lots of things. I think my heartfelt one was when we were in Rome and we were waiting for the Pope to come to the window and bless us, and we were standing in I don't remember what it's called, in a big circle around it. He comes to the window and he blesses you. and I liked Rome.
And you guys are you grew up Catholic, so that was probably
did,
like
yes.
the coolest thing.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was cool whether you're Catholic or not to see the Pope.
Yeah, it's like seeing the Dalai Lama. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And he came out and he blessed, blessed the multitudes. I didn't get a private.
Yeah, it's like you were in that window full of people and everyone got a blessing.
We were down. The circle where you meet. That's not St. Mark's Square. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway,
The one by the wall?
Huh?
The one by the wall that they all go and pray at in Rome.
Wall? No, that's in Israel, dear.
No, I'm not thinking of that. There's like, I know what you're thinking. I am thinking of, but I was thinking of there's this area in St. Mark's Square, and there's like this wall that has like all of these little areas you can put blessings in.
No, that's in Israel.
Okay, well.
But anyway.
But insert mouth,
this is
family.
this big circle around the Vatican, and the apostles are all. They've got statues of the apostles that was Michelangelo did and everything, and yes, you stood out there and waited for the Pope to come to the window, and he would do his blessings through the window and pray and what have you, and it was quite a remarkable thing. But you know what I thought was more remarkable than even him coming and blessing all of us?
What?
Michelangelo. You know who he is?
Yeah, he painted the Sistine Chapel.
Yes, he did. Plus a lot of other things. But including around the window of the Vatican is this circle, semicircle, no, almost a circle. That's where you meet, or everybody goes to be blessed. There was the apostles and patron saints and what have you had been carved mainly by Michelangelo and then other major artists, and they were all over and they were huge. And it was just absolutely gorgeous. But what fascinated me, I don't know why, I was only 13 or something like that, how it was done. It was in a semicircle around, and the statues lined up. In other words,
Oh, that's cool.
you could look at one, and if you were in the right spot, you saw one.
Oh, that's cool.
If you moved over a little bit, you saw them all. And they
Oh,
were
wow. So it's like an
all over.
optical illusion,
Yes.
the way it was presented.
And
That's cool.
I just found it very interesting that they could do that.
No,
And they
that's
didn't have a
awesome.
computer. Of course, I didn't know what a computer was back then, so.
That's so cool. So you moved to America. When did you move back to America?
You mean back to the States?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were over there from 54 to the end of 56. So in 1956. My sister was born in Germany.
So you came over as you got back into you came back and like went into high school?
Oh, yes, I did.
And that's where you met Grandpa?
Well, no, not for years.
Was Grandpa older than you?
3
3 years older than you?
We lived in Fort Sheridan, Illinois.
And then you moved to
San
SoCal?
Diego.
Oh, to San Diego. That's where you met Grandpa? How did you meet Grandpa?
Just hanging out with all the kids. And he was the rock.
He was the rock. He was the attractive man.
He had a nice car, and he worked, and yeah, he thought he was God's gift. All the girls thought he was God's gift, and he was God's gift. He was my gift.
That's probably why he chose you, because everybody thought he walked on air.
Well, he was very popular.
He was a very popular man.
Very good looking, yes.
How long were you and Grandpa dating before he proposed, and how did he propose?
Oh, that's funny. Well, I had known him for about 2, maybe 3 years, because we all hung out just the same as kids do now. Well, not the same. he had a good car, and I met him that way. Well, we all met him that way. We met each other that way. And how long did we date? Golly, I went with him, and then we broke up, and I didn't go with him. And then, well, actually, okay. We both worked for the opening of a great big mall, which is now a great big mall. It was just a little mall then, at May Company, at the store, stocking. I was 18. He was 21.
You guys were like doing floor sets for a new mall?
Mhm. We were stocking May Company, and that was a blast. And we were both working there along with a whole lot of other young people. And but I knew him. Had known him for quite some time. Well, about 2-3 years.
I'm gonna put the dogs outside, Grandma. Dogs, outside. All of you, running around. Everyone's gonna hear your paw prints instead of Grandma's voice.
Cat going out too.
No, yeah.
And so I knew him, and all the girls wanted him.
But that's when you got to know him, was when you guys were doing the floor sets?
Well, yeah, but I knew him. Everybody knew of Chuck. And his beautiful car. He had a 57
His
Ford.
beautiful car.
He had, well, compared to what everybody else had. Well, kids had good cars then, or, they fixed them up. And, but he had a 57 Ford. And I made a pair of dice to hang from the mirror.
That's so cute.
Yeah, Angora dice. And in coral and white, because the car was coral and white. And then we started to date, and then he was an arrogant so-and-so. So, I was dating others, and I had a boyfriend all through high school that wasn't your grandfather. But he moved to Florida, so after he moved to Florida with his family, because his dad was in the Navy, then we used to go to, I shouldn't tell you this. We used to go out to the airstrip, abandoned airstrip on the Air Force Base. And, was it Air Force then? I guess it was. And we'd use the abandoned airstrips, runways,
Mm-hmm.
and drag race.
That is bad.
Oh, it's wonderful.
You'd get in so much trouble if you got caught doing that.
Oh yeah, we went what we called Julie bopping when the SPs would show, we'd see lights and what have you. They kind of warned us because they'd blink the lights and
like, get away from here. We don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, and we'd take off across the Tulies, and so we were all out there, and he'd bring he'd bring his father's truck out there to race and what have you. Everybody went out to watch the drags. And of course, I was always into cars, so I went out too.
You're like, so it was cool.
Oh, it was real cool.
When? How did Grandpa propose to you?
Oh, gosh. He had been in a wreck. We were both working at May Company stores at a new mall. Well, they weren't called malls then, but that's what it was. Stocking the store at the empty stores. And we were all tired because we were working a lot of hours to get that store ready to open, the mall ready to open. And he fell asleep behind the wheel coming home one night and ran into the back of a bus. Now you say, how in the world did you not see a bus? But he didn't. He fell asleep at the wheel and he ran into it. And his mom called my mom, and I really don't know why. But he must have told her to call me, and said that that he had been in an accident. He was okay. He was banged up a lot and what have you, but he was okay. But I guess that just kind of went, oh, kind of set a precedent that, not everything's permanent. And so we started seriously dating. And that was then 2 months later, he asked me to marry him. Oh, how did he ask me to marry him?
Yeah, how did he ask you to marry him?
They had drive-in like you see in the movies, where they put, trays on the side of your cars.
Like a Sonic, kind of.
Yeah, and it's called Oscars. And we went there to get something to eat, and he put my ring. Had the waitress or car hop put it in the cover of a hamburger. And he asked me there. Very romantic.
So you bought it, you bit into the hamburger?
No, I didn't bite into it because I saw it.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, it was best. But yeah, that's how
And what movie were you guys going to see?
I don't remember. Possibly Psycho.
I think that was the one you guys went and saw.
I probably, because everybody was going to see Psycho. Don't tell the ending.
It was a big deal.
It was a very big deal. And we did, something? Kids didn't tell the ending. Those that saw
That was the big news. You just kept quiet.
You kept quiet. Yeah.
It's kind of like now people are like, don't go on the internet until after you've seen it.
Probably so.
Yeah.
But because the ending was so different, and I think anybody that's seen Psycho knows that. But yeah, we went to see Psycho. I'm reasonably sure we went to see Psycho. And then I went home, and I showed my ring, of course, to my parents. And I remember the big thing was when I said, Chuck asked me to get married, and we're going to get married, or something to that effect. And my dad goes, soon? Oh, well, not necessarily. I knew what he was getting at. And I said, no, not necessarily. But we that was in like February, and we were married in May.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That's
sort of
fast.
engagement.
Did he ask Grandpa if he could marry you, or did he just ask you?
He had asked me already, and then he did this formal cutesy thing and everything later, asked my dad.
Skipped a step. He asked Grandpa after he made sure you'd say yes.
Oh, yes.
That's funny.
Oh, yes.
How many children did you have with Grandpa, and what are their names?
All of them.
No, I said how many children did you have, and what are their names?
5. Chuck, John, Donata, in order.
You just did put them in order.
Michael, and your mom, Jennifer.
What is your happiest memory with all 5 of your children and Grandpa?
We used to go to this place. I don't remember the name of it now. Don't mind the memory. But it was a fishery. And you could take your kids, and they had ponds. And they could fish. The kids could fish, or anybody could fish. But basically it was aimed for kids to fish in these big, huge ponds. And then they would furnish you with big skillets, so you could cook the fish there.
Oh, so it's like fresh. You could cook fresh food with your family.
Oh, yeah, and we used to go there quite a bit. My mom and dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, and just
it's a family thing.
And it was great. I thought I'd never forget the name of it, and I've just forgotten it, but don't mind my memory. But
it's the point that you remember it's a fishery and it was a fun place.
It was a wonderful place to take your kids, because they would furnish these. Ooh, that hurts. they'd furnish these great big cast iron skillets, and then you had there was fire pits and or like things and picnic tables and under the shade, and it was all shaded and everything, and the whole family would
Come on out.
come on out and have fish. I mean, my grandparents didn't come out and spend the day like we did because they were older, well, much older. And but I remember one of my memories of there was Donata. Was about not even 3 years old yet, and she's wandering around. Everybody was watching everybody's kids and everything. But two things happened that day that particular day, or I think they were on the same day, but maybe not. Anyway, she went up to the fence where there was a petting zoo type thing, and a goose came through and bit her nose. And so, of course, she cried. And then she went over and where the ponds were that you fished, that they would catch the fish that we would cook there, because they'd fillet them and everything for you, furnish the big old skillets, and it was great. It was a great place to be able to take kids. They should do that more now. And
that sounds fun. My dad used to take me fishing. I never caught anything, but it's fun.
Well, it was almost guaranteed that they would catch something, because they what do they call it? They put the fish in the plastic.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's like if you want to build the confidence of your child learning how to fish, that's where you take them.
Yeah, they had the joy of catching a fish about yay big,
That's funny.
And then you could cook it and eat it, and they'd fillet it and clean it and all this kind of stuff. But I was going someplace with it. My grandfather was probably my age then, and he was out with the kids because everybody went. And Donata had gone over and she got tweaked on the nose by this goose through the fence, and so she came running back, crying, of course. She couldn't have been over 3, and she slipped and she fell in the pond where the fish were. And it wasn't very deep or anything, but it was deep enough that she could have drowned because she was little. I've never seen my grandfather move so fast in all my life. And he got her out of that pond, and that's one of my happy memories of my grandfather.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
My Tristan fell into the back pond at Mama's house, and Kylie jumped full in to grab him. It was like, just like you said, so fast. It was like instinctual.
How he got there at his age and everything, before your grandfather could get there, or anybody could get to her, he had her out of that water.
He moved. It's ultra fast, like the Flash.
Yes, he did, and that's just a picture that's been in my mind all these years.
We're just about done.
Okay.
What if you were to name a favorite quality about each of your children? What would it be?
Gosh.
Like when you think of something that warms your heart about each of them, what would it be?
They all warm my heart. I love my children deeply. They all were different. Let's start with Chuck, the oldest. He was very responsible. He was very neat and tidy. He was heavy, but he was very neat and tidy, very, very organized. Mechanically inclined. He had his room wired for his stereo systems, and I guess they were hi-fis then, but everything, and you never saw a wire. You never saw it. We never had enough bedrooms for all of them to have their own bedroom at the same time, so we switched it off, and they'd share, together, and then somebody would always have that front bedroom by themselves at one point in time so that they could have their own. But Chuck was very mechanical. He was John was the temperamental one. John was the hard-headed one. John played piano, played guitar.
He's the musical one.
He's the musical one. Didn't do anything with it, but he was the musical one. But he was also the stubborn one. But then when my business burnt, and I thought, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do, John went into the service and started sending money home to help me because I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm just going in the row that they...
Oh, yeah, going the row they were born.
Donata, for a long time, was the only girl. And so she fought with her brothers like crazy to get her place in line. And they picked on her. They made her cry. But she picked right back. She was the mouthy one.
She's strong.
She was, but she wasn't. She would be strong, and she'd get mad, and then she'd cry.
Sounds like the women in the family.
Michael was the easygoing one. We have to have time?
We're almost done.
Yeah, we just gotta leave shortly.
Okay. Michael was the easygoing one. Michael played Little League. Michael did everything. He was also the one that, he's left-handed. He and Donata both were left-handed, which was fine. But Michael seemed to put his hand through a buzzsaw every time we turned around. So,
He's creative.
he became a cabinet maker. And Michael was the easygoing one and kind of the peacemaker, I used to say. But he was the youngest. Then came your mother. And your mother just fit right in, and it was just wonderful to add another daughter into these boys. And I remember when we went to see her and everything, and we came home, and your grandfather says, "When are you going to bring that baby home from the hospital?" And I had, it was in the back of my mind. We already had 4 children, and, we weren't wealthy. God knows we weren't wealthy. Middle class? Maybe lower middle class. But he says, "When are you going to bring that baby home?" And I went, "Oh,
It's okay."
shocked, And he says, "You're not going to leave that baby down there." Because she had already been signed to be adopted. And went down the next day and brought her home. We've had her ever since. And best movie ever made. But yeah, it was just raising 5 children was an interesting prospect. And then, of course, unfortunately, Chuck and I separated, and that made it even more rough, and I had to go to work. So your mom had it a little rougher than the other kids did.
I'm just gonna repeat it for the girls, just because you aced it with the boys, but we kind of got in story mode. What are your favorite qualities about Donata and Jenny?
Gosh, Donata's hard-headed, stubborn, can be, very professional. She was focused for a long time. As a kid, she wasn't, of course. She was well run. But when she went to work for Edison, and she decided, like I finally said, go as far as you can, as fast as you can. And she did. And I've been proud of her. But her stubbornness gets to me.
Perseverance will get you through life.
Yes, but it can get you through life with a lot of bumps. A lot of bumps. And of course, she and the boys would fight like crazy. Your mom was later, so the boys were older. But poor Donata, she wanted to be one of the boys. She wasn't one, and then she didn't want to be one of the boys. But then we had so many boys hanging around, when she was coming into...
Becoming a girl.
Yeah. And so
That's always when it switches. I wanted to be one of the boys until I wanted to be liked, and then I wanted to be a pretty girl.
Exactly. And she and I have had our days. Boy, have we had our days. And of course, then she moved to Colorado, and and I'm not surprised because
Her house is beautiful, and that's
Well, her
something
house is
she's
beautiful.
always wanted, was to live in the mountains and stuff.
But yes, that's true too. But you know, we have mountains in California. But she's always wanted to be in control of her own life, and so probably part of it was just gonna let her me. And unfortunately, you know, I tried to not control. I wanted them all to be independent, but I've always been there for them if they needed it. But sometimes I would imagine, especially with Donata, that I would get a little overbearing.
Moms and daughters, man.
Yeah, even your mother and I. And she's been fabulous to me and for me and everything. But yeah, mothers and daughters.
Mothers and daughters.
But mothers and daughters can become friends if you forget, and that's the hardest part. But you're not there yet. But your mother has to remember you are an adult, and you're not there yet. But that takes a lot of years.
It does. It does take a lot of years. What was your biggest life lesson in your whole life?
My biggest life lesson?
Yeah, if you were to leave me with one piece of advice that you learned from your whole life, what would you tell me?
Be patient. Be patient. You get angry right now, and in 10 minutes, the whole situation will change. And you're going, what was I upset about? Just wait. Be patient. Because things do change. I've been through so much. You know, we went through a flood in Oregon. That changed. We went through a fire with my bar. That changed things and everything. But you just have to have patience and show patience. Patience. I guess patience. When you're raising 5 children, you have to have a lot of patience.
Like trusting the process kind of thing.
Yeah. And listening to both sides. You have a side. Mom has a side. Your brothers and sisters have a side. Don't try to control. You're not the mother. You're not in charge. They all have their own ideas, their own lives, and you can enjoy those lives, but don't try to control those lives. Just go with the flow and enjoy.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, just it's hard to go. I'll stop because I had control issues. And as they put them today.
I think every person in our family has control issues.
I think every person does. Everybody wants to be king or queen, as the case may be, but I guess my most valuable lesson was when Chuck and I, your grandfather and I, separated, and here I am with 5 kids and going, what am I going to do now? And having to go to work and leave them and trusting them and then as their lives came through, trying not to control their lives, not to, God, the fights that your mom and I had, the fights Donata and I had, but just be patient. Just be patient. It'll change.
I just love each other.
You always love each other, but you don't need to be telling her what to do. She doesn't need to be telling you what to do, but you're going to try. You're going to be headstrong. And I think Donata and I had more of that than your mom and I. But I was older, you know, by the time your mom got up into those years and everything. But it was difficult, just very difficult.
Hey, Grandma, we are running about out of time because you got to go get on a plane to go see Charity. But this is, I'm going to give you just a second to say anything that I'm going to send this to our family one day. One day, not now, a long time from now. But if you were to say something to our entire family, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, all of us, what would you say?
I'd say, you are all different. You are individuals. You don't have to be this close-knit, oh my God, I love you dearly. You can all be different and still understand. And you can enjoy all the differences and learn from all those differences. But be patient. The main thing I think is to be patient. The family is too big to be this close-knit, oh, we're all going to be together for Easter or whatever. But enjoy. Try to stay in touch. You've got the internet and all that jazz now that we didn't have. And so we got together more. But try to learn from what each one of them, because you are all so totally different. All 5 of my kids were different. And enjoy the talents that each one of them has, whether they're talents like John playing the piano or Nigel playing the piano, the
Guitar.
Well, John plays the guitar too, but used to. But you know, each one has a talent of some sort. Each one has an interest. You don't have to get totally involved in that interest, but it's nice to know what they are.
And show you care a little bit.
Well, and show you have interest.
Mama, will you give Grandma a kiss before I turn this off?
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, I love you dearly, darling. My darling. My youngest daughter.
And I'm in jammies, so I'm going to give you a hug before I
What's
turn
the
this
arm?
off.
Right now.
I love you very much.
Right
Thank
now
you
I've
for
had-
sticking with me through the interview you did not want to do.
I've never had an interview.
Well, look at you. Now you're a fancy queen.
I've always